Hello, hello, hello. It's Crafty Chris here for another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. Last time I made a Christmas layout using these pocket cards or journal cards, whatever you call them. So I thought I would keep online with that. And today we would work on making some cards, Christmas cards, because it is July and we do have Christmas in July being promoted in most of the craft genre. So I thought we would do some Christmas cards using our pocket cards. I've got a selection of 6x6 and a selection of 3x4, and I'm going to pick from them. And what we're looking for when we're picking through our cards is we're looking for things that we can cut down and fit into your standard 2¼ by 5½ card. Okay, so this is 4x6, so likely the width is fine, but we'll have to take some off the top or the bottom, or we can fussy cut them. So we'll see when we make a selection. So I'd like you to choose. Let's try and make 4 in the time we have today. So I'm going to select mine, you select yours, and we will see you in one moment. So what I've got is a couple of little versions. I've grabbed some pieces that I'm going to trim up and make a little bit 3D and pop dot. And then I've got these that are already tags. So I'm just going to punch a hole in them and make them Christmas tags. So that's super simple to do. And then I've got a whole whack of these, which I'm not going to do online tonight, but they're various compilations of cards. And I just thought, since I'm doing them, I can do that after I work with you guys for a while. So I get my cards and they're not folded. One of the things you want to really make sure is that you are folding your cards accurately. I don't like it when my full lines are, and I just use my thumb to emboss it, when my full lines are all crooked, because I'm a bit anal that way. Now, what I had planned for this one was I want to chop off the top of this, and I'm going to need a corner rounder because I want to make sure that I'm corner rounding things because it just makes things look finished. So I'm going to chop off the top of this and trim it out, and then the remaining piece I'm going to mount on here, and I'm going to pop dot and just literally throw it together. But the first thing I have to do is get this down to an appropriate size to fit the card. So because it's a 4-inch wide, there's going to be a top and bottom margin. I can have it go straight left to right, or I can trim it with that easement on it. So because let me just see if I can figure out a corner rounder, which is going to corner round it exactly the same. And of course I don't have one. So I'm going to be a little bit tricky with this. I am going to trim off both sides because I want to make sure that my corner rounder is accurate, because I don't have a corner rounder that fits this particular size of corner rounding. I'm going to try and just trim off the majority of the corner, about 1/4 inch, I guess, is what I would need off of one side. And then I can measure, because I know I'm going to re-corner round, if that makes any sense. And so this is 5½, so I need 5¼ Aha! So my trimmer only goes to 5, and 5 is kind of tricky. So 4 3/4, and so I need to make sure that I'm doing my 5¼ inches. So I'm just going to mark it here, use my mat. So 5 3/4, I need 5 1/4. So I'm going to be chopping off a 1/2 inch. And I can't really do that in my trimmer either, so I'm going to have to mark it. Alrighty, so just going to take my pencil. Oh, there we go. It's not very sharp. Just going to take my pencil and mark off my 1/4 inch here. And I always mark the bottom side because I can never see the top side in my trimmer. I can see the bottom in my trimmer. All right, now I'm going to line that up and give us a chop. Oh, that looks pretty good. And let's just make sure it fits in the card, okay? Beautiful. All right, now I'm ready to corner round. Put that to the side. And I can pick any corner rounder I want. So I don't want one that is this big. I don't want that one because it's too small. So I'm going to go with this middle one. And if I don't like it, I can go smaller. There we go. Whoa, it's kind of wonky. Sometimes you have to really make sure you're getting it in the corner to round it properly. Let's just take a look here because these don't look completely rounded. Let's try that again. There, that's a little better. And this one looks off. Okay. Alrighty, now my card is going to go vertically, so I need to make sure my birds go in the same direction. So we're just going to grab my adhesive. I was away on the weekend scrapbooking at a friend's house, and we were social distanced, and we had our shots, so we gave it a try, and it was fun. It was so fun to be back around people, but we have to be careful about that. Alrighty, and just kind of centering it in my paper. There we go. Alrighty, so there's my base. And now we're going to trim this off, and I'm going to get as close as I can to those words without cutting the words off. And I have to kind of eyeball it sideways. Oops. Move that over a little. There we go. And now I still have my hanging ornament, and I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch off the bottom because I want to re-corner round it. And when you're re-corner rounding, that's a real word, you want to make sure that you're starting with a fresh corner and putting that in. There we go. And you know what? I think I'm going to trim some off the side too. So this is 4 inches. So I'm going to do 4.5 inches, or 3.5 inches. Whoops. 3.5 inches. Because I want it to show a frame of the paper that's underneath. Oops. Pick that up later. And there we go. There we go. Alrighty, so now this is ready to get placed on there. Now this is very close in tone. So I'm going to just do a little bit of inking around this piece so that it pops a bit more. That's my trick for having things show up. So I'm just going to carefully go around that edge with a little bit of ink I could do it straight from the pad. I just happen to have this color's ink on my tool, and there, you see it stands out much better now. So that's a good tip to know. And now we're going to trim this out. All right. So let me trim it. There's too much of that there. Okay. I'm going to try to make sure I don't show any of the light and have a nice curved banner. Now see, this I can keep for my scraps. This not so much garbage. This I'll keep. I'll just straighten it up. You do want to have really good scissors to do this, because you're going right in to the tip. There we go. And I think I got a bit of beige on there. Yes, I did. So I'm going to trim that off. Okay, garbage, garbage. This is going to be saved for scraps. Okay, now we're ready to put it all together. I'm going to put this down with thin, if I can find them, my thin 3D dots. So there are thin and thick 3D dots. So here's your average width of 3D dots. And then here is the thin. So it's about half the thickness. So I use the thin dots when I just want to raise it a little, and I use the thick dots to really pop it off. So I'm going to use my big dots on the bottom. And I'm just going to put 5 because there's no weight really going on this. All right, take my dots off. Now, probably should have left it on until I figured out how I was going to lay this out, but it doesn't matter. So my Mary, I think I'm going to have it kind of go kitty corner down to one corner. So we're going to put that evenly from the bottom there. So we have that nice frame. There we go. And it's popped up a fair bit. You can see that. And now this, I am going to just pop a slight bit. No, actually, you know what? I think I just want to do a little bit of this so it kind of blends in with this piece. It looks a little aged. All right, and I think I'm just going to put it there. So I am going to put no thin dots. I'm going to put thick dots at the top edge. Maybe move it over just a little more. And I'm just going to put a half of one there because I don't know where it's going to land. And then, perfect. And then it looks like it's coming off that edge nice and straight. And there we have. It just isn't Christmas without Mary. All right. So, and then that means, just to keep it stuck so that it doesn't slip, dropped it on the floor. There we go. this little flat adhesive so it sticks to the top of the other popped piece. There we go. Line it up. And there we go. And there's my first card. And then we can put a Christmas sentiment on the inside. So that's number one. Number two that I'm making is going to, actually, I'll go in stages of difficulty. Number two is going to be, I'm going to cut this piece out, put it on top of there. I'm going to cut out the magic of, and then Christmas goes across the bottom. I'll have to figure out which side works best for that. So I probably should do that cutting first. I'll get these guys out of my way. Okay. So I think I'm just going to give an 1/8 of an inch frame kind of around the Christmas. And then do the same sort of thing around the magic of just round it a little bit, and I can play with this. All right. Now it is capitals in the middle, so I'm going to follow that line, and that's going to take me right off the other edge. And I'm just going to pretend to round it. Round it a little here. So there's my magic of. It's a little uneven in that section. There we go. So the magic of, there's not really anything to keep there. And now I'm just going to finish Christmas. And I will cut into that later. There we go. And just rounding it a little at a time. All right, I think I can go in here and round a little nicer. There we go. And I can go in here and round a little nicer. That's on an edge, so I'll make sure it comes to the edge. And this can go in and come out. Then I'm going to round that in and round it again and go straight over. And then I'm going to round this in and kind of keep it the same if possible. There we go. And let's see how we do there. A little more in here. There we go. Just to kind of round this a tiny bit. I got some sharp points there. There we go. There we go. All right. And there is Christmas. And Christmas is gonna sit right on the edge there. And the magic of Christmas. Now, I'm going to have to take some off of each side because we want to get that, which side works better for Christmas? This one? Or this one? I think it doesn't really matter, actually. I have more space to take off some on this side. So, let's see. This is 4 inches. And I want to go down to 3 3/4 inches. And so I am going to go and take a little, like an 1/8 off of each side, line up to the bottom. Oh no, the width is already the right size. Get a card here, Chris. And then we can see what we're really doing. It's nice and straight. So this fits in. It's the top and bottom that I have to take some off of. So I need all of it at the bottom. So my Christmas will fit in. Right, so I am going to take it off the top. I'm curious. From there to there is just over an inch. From there to there is just over an inch. It's the same distance. Okay. So I need, this is 5, this is 6. So I need to take, let's see, I need to take 3/4 of an inch off. I'm hoping that's going to work. But okay, I'm gonna risk it and leave these corners and hope that mine is not too different. And I need to take 3/4 of an inch off. So I'm gonna line that up. There we go. All right, that piece is being saved. And now we're going to corner around this and see how it goes. And hopefully it won't be too bad. Not too bad. It's a little bit bigger. I think it'll be okay. All right, now this is going to be going up and down as well. Let's get that on first. Okay. Christmas is going at the bottom. And we're centering that in our card as best we can. This is going to go up here, and I think I'm just going to finish that with a bit of ink just so that it stands out a bit. And Christmas will do the same, just a little. Always come from behind if you're going into sections that are tight, so you don't overdo it. There we go. Just gives it a little bit of a finish. Now it's going to go across here. All right. Okay. So low dots for these guys, and then I'm going to put high dots for my flower because I'm going to cut that second paper. What did I do with it? There it is. Cut that second paper and kind of decoupage it on there with the high. So many thin dots, and you'll see the difference that it makes. Oh, there's one on my fingernail. There we go. All right, the magic of and I think I want to put that right up to the edge so I can make sure that that flower doesn't cover up too much of the sentiment. There we go. The magic of, and then we have Christmas in my case. So we need 2 on the end just to make sure that they stay. I use a ton of dots. And then just to keep it from flopping. There we go. And make sure you pat them down. That's the key to getting these tops off easily. Without removing the dot as you're trying to get the top off. Some dots are easier than others. It depends on the quality of the dot. Push that to the side. Now we're going to line this up with this side. And it can go over a tiny bit, but I don't want it to go over too much because it's got to stay on the card. So this is where we're at so far. All right, now it's time for cutting. Now to fussy cut, I just cut all the way around, and all of this excess paper will end up in my scraps container, which I'm happy to say is becoming less and less and less. Okay, now we're going to trim in and carefully follow the line of the flower. Okay. So this is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to turn off the video and join you when I have it done. See you in a minute. We're back with our trimmed out piece of matching card, and now we're just going to ink the edges because you will see the white edge of the paper if you don't kind of try to bring down that white edge. And as I said before, work more from the back than the front, because with some of these little corners you can end up getting too much ink on if you're not careful. And you can push the paper aside easier from the back and get a smaller distressed look than coming from the front. And I'm literally just mostly in the back. Like if you look at the back, you can see more of the distressing than on the front because I don't want it to be too heavy-handed. So distressing those edges, working from the back, just to get that whiteness handled so it doesn't show your cut lines. And we're almost done here. And we're almost done. Oop. That was my tummy growling. Sounded like thunder here. And this is my last one. There we go. A little bit more on that one. Okay, so now the whiteness has been tapered down, so it won't show as much on our layout. Now this one, we did the thin pop dots here. Now I'm going to do the thick pop dots. And I'm going right to the edge. I'm not going to go to these little edges, but I'm going to go as far up that petal as I can, because they all need support. And I think I'll put a couple there. Oops. And since that one happened to be sitting there, there we go. That should be enough. It's more than I usually put, but you want it to stay in place. These ones don't come off as easy as the other ones do, and they stick. For some reason, when I have my nails done, they tend to stick on my nails. When I don't have nails done, it doesn't seem to be a problem. So now I'm going to line up my double large center pieces, and it's best to stand straight over top to line this up. And then once you've got it lined up, just smack that down. And you'll see that these points come over top because they are actually standing higher than these little guys on the flat. And there's our second card finished. Now we're going to do decorating if we have time at the end. You know, my usual decorating things are Wink of Stella, gold Wink of Stella, silver Wink of Stella. I use liquid glass or glossy accents or whatever you're using, and pop things up and make things sparkly. So if we don't have time for that, that's fine. Let's go on to card number 3. Now that was a fairly simple card with some extra fussy cutting. Now we're getting into a little bit more difficult to card. Which one am I doing here? Those are tags. Right. This one. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. So this one's not that difficult to one. So I think we'll do this one next. I am going to trim off 1/4 of an inch from this side. And that should give me 1/8 of an inch on both sides. And it's just so that I can see some of this background color. And this is 4, so I'm going down to 3 3/4. And I'm rounding the corner as best I can. It's going to be covered, so it won't really matter if it's slightly bigger. Actually, it looks not too bad on this. I think the 4x6s must be a little larger. There we go. And I'm okay with this being at the top and the bottom. It's just another element. Okay, so now I have to trim this at the top and the bottom. This is 6 inches, and we are going down 1/4 of an inch. So I need to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side. And then I need to, or I can take, yeah, I need to take 1/8 off of each side because I want it centered. Or I can have it come down a little. So I'm going to take 1/4 of an inch off the bottom. That would be easier. So let's make this the bottom because it's about even. Yes. So we're going to take 1/4 of an inch off. Here. Oops. And remember I said that I do it along the bottom because it's easier for me to see. And I just made that mark up at the top, so I now need to make sure I make that mark at the bottom. There we go. And now I can line my mark up, trim it down, and now corner around again. Oops, what happened there? There we go. There we go. So there is my base. So let me get that on first, and then it's easier to see everything else. Make sure my tape doesn't show. Perfect. So I'm putting my shorter side at the bottom. Oh, I'm confused. Hang on a second. This is 5.5. It was 6, right? So I have to take some more off. Okay, I have to take 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take 1/4 here and 1/4 there because I still want there to be some shift. Let's see how Chris wants to do this. Talking about myself in the third person. So I actually need to take off half an inch from the top, let's say. It's really 1/4 of an inch both ways, but I'm just going to do 1/2 inch from one side because I did 1/4 from the other side. So 1/2 inch is going to be here and there. And it's going to be sticky because I've got my glue on there. There we go. There we go. I'm going to keep that piece. I'm going to take the glue off. Then 1/4 round again. We'll get it. There we go. And now I'm going to put this in here, centered on all sides as much as possible. There we go. And this is going to go centered here. I'm going to have to trim out, I'm cutting out my presents from this one. And actually, I want a nice straight line, so I'm going to try my trimmer on this to get those straight lines. There we go. And then some of those things I can keep. There we go. And now I just need to trim across here because I have a bow there. Now I have to separate them. Okay, so we are going to cut the bow right off, and we can draw that in later. And now this goes up on an angle, and this gets cut in. And I'm going to be doing some fussy cutting around the flower. This won't take too long, so I hope I have your patience. I don't like how that looks. I have to trim that better. There we go. And trim this straight in. There we go. That's one present. There we go. And the last little bit here. This is just not making me happy. So I'm going to trim in a little more than is required. There we go. And there. And there. We did that. Okay, and now we have to just get along our leaf and trim around that way, and around this that way, and then just trim that little point off that I created. There we go. Alrighty, so there is our two puzzle pieces. Now, I just have to figure out how they're going to fit on here. So we've got this more or less center top to bottom. And if I have these sitting one in front of the other, or maybe I don't even need both. Maybe I only need one. I think I'm going to keep it at one. There you go. And now I have a present that I can use on another project. Nothing big enough to keep there. All right, we're good to go. So we are going to use our double dots on the bottom here. Because everything's sort of light colored, I'm not going to worry about antiquing it or whatever you call it, distressing it. If you would like to do that, feel free. And I'm just going to stick that there, that there. Make sure they're all down. Best way to find out which ones have been done or not is to touch them. All right, now let's get this kind of centered. You're going to see my big hat. Nope, not quite. There you go. So I'm going to try to center it from this direction. So I'm thinking that's about centered. Nope, it's crooked. How about that? Still crooked. How does that look? Beautiful. There we go. Put that down. And now you know I'm going to bling up this for sure. Now this guy's going to pop with the minis. We're going to have one up here where this leaf is. See, these are the little mini dots. I'm not going to worry about those. One in each corner should do it. And 4. And you know what? I might just curl those a little bit with my finger so they kind of curl up. And this guy, should have done it before I put the pop dot on there. So I'm going to take the pop dot off, stick it on my arm, and I'm going to round that and bend it a little so it pops. There we go. All right, make sure everything's flat. These do come off quite easy. Alrighty. Alrighty, and now I'm just going to let that, look at that. So I'm going to double that up just so that it has a chance to be a little bit bigger. There we go. And there's our third card. Cute. And our last card has a couple of things going on. Can't remember what I was doing. Ah, yes, I remember totally. This one is going to be horizontal. So I'm going to fold my card accurately. See, right there is not accurate. Okay. And we're going to trim this down. So this is having trouble with this, remembering how to trim it down. Okay, so we need it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to take a ½ inch off. So I'm going to take a ¼ inch off this side and measure that out. 1/4 inch comes off this side, and 1/4 inch comes off this side. Okay, perfect. And then I'll corner round them again. That's a bit thin. Oh well, I'll keep it just in case. All right, now we're going to quarter round. And let's stick that down. Lining that up. Still need a little more off on this side. Don't know how that happened. Let's see. 4. Okay, right. I have to take 3/4 of an inch. I keep forgetting. Okay, that will be better. 3/4 of an inch, Chris. Not a 1/2 inch. All right, there we go. Much better. Oops. Shadows. There we go. Here's our base, and that'll take later. This I'm using for the background, and it's going to sit right in there, and it's going to go flush. And line it up so that it touches the points, top and bottom. And so that it's kind of lined up. There we go. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to do Hello December. So I'm going to cut Hello December out. First, I'm going to cut about 1/8 off both sides. And I'm going to see how that goes. If that's enough. And 1/8 off the top and the bottom. Or maybe I won't. Okay, that gives me a frame. And then I can cut 1/8 off the top and bottom. Let's try that. I may want to go skinnier. So imagine that corner rounded. No, that's too much. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to do 1/8 off the top and bottom and make it like a strip. Okay, these guys, those no, these yes. It's garbage. I have to sweep my area. Much better. Loving that. Okay. Sometimes you can do, you know, take too little off. Now these are going to be rounded. Do I want to round it the same size? Let's try that. See how I feel about it. And I don't think I'm going to worry about edging this one because it is quite a bit different. It stands up quite nicely. So, oh, I want a pop dot. Okay. So we're going to do our regular pop dots on this. 1 in each corner. And because it's a long expanse, we're going to do 1 on each side, and then 1 in the center there, and 1 in the center there. Alrighty, make sure they're down. Come on. Let's see if we can get all the way across. Ooh. It's like my challenge. Yes! I did get it. Oh, no, I can't get them off. They're all there. And I'm going to center this more or less. Mostly eyeballing. Cut it down, and it's good to go. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to do one of two things. I don't want to make this video super long, so I am going to go and I'm going to stop the video at this point. I'm going to decorate these and see how long it takes to decorate them, and then make an ending, a separate ending to the video. So if the video is too long, I'll leave out the decorating, but you will see them decorated in my finishing of the video section. If it's not too long, then I'll leave the decorating in and we'll just finish off as normal. Okay, so I will see you in a moment. Okay, so here we are. And it's time to do some decorating. So I am getting out my silver, my gold, and my Wink of Stella clear, because I like the clear. Wait a minute, I got some other things going on here. There's the gold I like. I don't like that gold. Alrighty. So the first thing I'm going to do is this snowflake, because snowflakes have to sparkle. So I'm just going to color in my snowflake with silver, because snowflakes are rarely gold. In fact, I don't know that I've ever seen a gold snowflake, except maybe on a Christmas tree. Just giving it some glittery glitz, a little bit of sparkle. And I'll show you in the finishing part of the video a little close-up of each of the cards. And we're just going to kind of go in the center there. All right, just make sure we get everything. I love these pens. They're super easy to use. I like using Stickles and other products with the glitter glue, but this is just super, super easy and quick. Okay, so there we have our sparkle on our snowflake. December I love, so I think what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do some liquid liquid glass on that. This is a little tricky, so those of you that do not have a steady hand, you may not want to do this. There's some difference in products. This one is DecoArt's Media Liquid Glass, and it's quite thick. And I find that sometimes it's difficult to get a nice thin coating. Oh, I just thought of something. I have something else that I can use. It's called, if I can find it, it's called, what is it called? It's called, there it is. It's called, nope, that's not it. Ah, there it is. No, that's white. Is this white glaze? Oh, yeah, that's the white one. It's a glaze pen, and it's super fine, and I can't find it, which upsets me, because it's perfect for this particular project. Ah, there it is. Found it. Okay, so it literally, if I can get it started, scrap piece of paper somewhere. You think I would have some? There we go. So it's clear, but it's shiny. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Clear, but shiny. So it's great for doing some of these smaller bits and pieces. So I ended up putting the liquid glass on the dots, and now I'm just going to come out and follow that dot line, or that curve, with the liquid pen. And you can see how fine it works. Now I wish I hadn't have done the dots first. Okay, This has like a clicking sound to it. But the nice thing about it is it's fairly flat. And you just kind of trace the letters. Smooth it around. Cool. Happy with this. Makes it a little easier. Oh, there's a dot I had to do. So I'm just like literally tracing the letters and filling in the area. Very nice. It's going to look great. So that is a whole bunch easier. I'm used to using the bottles and trying to be super careful. This just is a game changer. All right, now I need another dot on my C here, just to have it fit in. So very simple decoration. And some sparkle over there. I could do the dots on here with the thick stuff because it's kind of fun and gives it some dimension. There we go. Now, this product dries quickly. Glossy Accents takes more time. So this dries in about 6 hours. Glossy Accents is more like a 10-hour dry. Winkostella dries almost immediately, so you just want to make sure that you put it aside so you don't touch it, and make sure it's a flat surface as well, because sometimes it will slip. Okay, this one's going to be cool because we have berries. I think I want to put some Winkostella on the berries, the silver Winkostella, because berries glisten. They're all shiny. So we're going to do some Winkostella first because it's flat on those berries. Then we're going to go, oops, back in and put some thick dots. So the berries are nice and three-dimensional. There we go. Now, this ribbon, I have to make a decision. Okay, so I have two products here. One is an Aqua Shimmer, which just has gold and clear, and this one has gold in a gold base. So I think I am going to jump into this one. This is one of my favorites, and it's been hard to get. So I'm just going to pump it to get some in. Oop, there we go. See how shimmery that is? And I don't want to change the color. That's why I'm not using this guy, because this guy has gold in it. There we go, shimmering everything. This is just going to shimmer and not add color. It'll darken it in the moment that it's wet, but then it dries. Clear. Look how pretty that is. Whoa! Alrighty. And you know what? I'm going to put that in the center of there so it coordinates. There we go. I'm so happy to find that. It's my favorite. It's hard to get. And in this little dot, we're going to put some, and I think that's all I'm going to do for this because it's pretty special with all these dots when they're dry, all on its own. So put that aside to dry. And then we have this guy. You know exactly what I'm going to be doing here. Get that Wink of Stellus clear with the silver dots. And we're just going to go right in there. Glitter them up. There we go. And glossy accent them. These are bigger dots, so you gotta push into the paper a little more to get coverage. And the ones that are close together are probably going to run into each other because they have a tendency to do that. Nothing you can really do about it. So it looks white right now, but when it dries, it'll be that glittery silver. And you know what? That's all I'm doing on that one. I'm not, do I want to do the Christmas? Should I do the Christmas? You know what? I'm not going to do it on screen because I have to be super careful because the letters are very thin. I will do that off screen. And then our last one here. Now, what I'm going to do here is a few different things. I am going to color this in, and I'm going to use this pen because the other is way too thick. So I'm glossifying, another criticism, this tag. So I'm giving it some color or some shiny surface just by and you just want to make sure you get it sort of everywhere and try to get it as even as you can. You can go back in, but it gets sticky, so it's better to do it while you're in the moment than like making it even in the moment, because otherwise you end up with some interesting looking gunky stuff. And if you don't push down too hard on the paper, more comes out. So if you push too hard on the paper, it kind of makes it like lock, sort of closed, and it doesn't come out nice and thick. Well, thicker. Okay. Now I'm just going to look sideways because I can see some spots that need a little bit. So I'm using my light to help me find those spots so I can touch them up. And there's kind of like little dots here and there, just to kind of make it as good as I can get it. And how we doing here? There's a little dot there. This looks pretty good. There. Okay, so this will dry clear, but then you have a whole tag that is covered over. I want to sparkle up these little guys here. Oh, wrong pen. That was the silver. Oh, don't want the colored ones. I want to use these guys. Goodness, goodness, Chris. Got to be careful not to use the wrong products. And I'm just going to do this. And do them on the bottom. I'm going to let that be the glossy part. I'm just going to let these guys be their lovely sparkly self. And I'm going to steal some of the stuff I used over here. And I'm just going to go and dot these little guys. Use up some of the stuff I have on my mat. And I'm not going to do the little pink ones here. I'm just going to leave the big ones because then that's the gold and the silver won't look very much different side by side, but they will a distance from each other. Make sure I don't put my hand. Okay. This does take patience, and if you get shoulder aches, you might want to raise it on a little book stand or something so it's not so challenging for your neck. Alrighty. Oh yeah. And I'm just going to color in this, which is the hanger, because it should be gold and sparkly. Very subtle gold and sparkly. Whoops, and there's a little gold down here that we should probably color in. The more layers you put of this stuff, the prettier it is, because all the metallic-y bits line up. So if I can just show you how that looks. It's hard to see right now, but you'll see it in the finale. Okay, so as I said, now is the end of the video, and I'm just going to show you, this is still quite wet, so this is looking white, but you can see here that this is almost clear now, but that sparkle shines through the dollops. And the dollops really give it that three-dimensional sort of look. And you can see how nice and smooth using that pen over December worked. And here we have our shiny epoxy piece up at the top that we created. We have our Midas touch here at the bottom and then along the little dots. And then in the little dots we have the silver shimmer. And it's a little less intense than the gold shimmer. Here I am going to probably use the what's it called? The glaze pen, and very carefully outline that. This will become clear, and underneath that is the silver shimmer. Okay, and then our last card where we just shimmered and dotted. These aren't quite clear yet, but you'll see the shimmer underneath them when they're clear, and we have our Midas touch here, and you'll see it underneath that when that becomes clear. And that's it. There are our 4 beautiful Christmas cards made out of pocket, what do you call them? Cut-aparts or pocket page inserts, and I love them. I think they're an easy way to make cards. I just recently have decided that I should start doing that because I've got lots of these pocket pages, pocket inserts, and it's time to get them out of my stash and get something new in. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me this week, and I don't know what I'm doing next week. I'm more than happy to take suggestions, so if you're on my YouTube channel viewing this, you can respond. There is a comments area, and if you'd like to see something, please share that with me, and I will do my best to come up with projects based on what you would like to learn and how you would like to use up your stash. Thanks again. See you next Thursday.